So on board the Triumph Street Triple RS. Been waiting for such a long time to ride this bike. Look at that display. It's like a full-on tablet computer sort of thing. The switches, much different than whatever I've seen so far. So we're ready to go, I guess. Now this is a first ride impression, so I will not be going into the electronics and the riding modes probably. I haven't made my mind up, but that's probably reserved for the full review. What I'm more interested in is how this bike feels, the ergonomics. Well, it's pretty upright. The foot pegs are pretty rare set though. The front has a slight lean towards, oh man, the engine sound. It's like it's already got an exhaust on it. It feels like that, but this is the stock exhaust. Probably one of the best sounding stock exhaust that I've heard in a long while. We're going into the highway. I believe we have a quick shifter. Come on, we have a truck. I really wish I could take you through the corner, but with so much traffic, it's gonna be very difficult to do what I intended to do. Just listen to it. Just listen to that bike. Oh my god. Truck suddenly changing lanes. Just what we needed. What an agile bike. But these brakes are so damn hard. I mean, even with the 30 to 40% braking, you're getting everything done. I don't even want to go hard brakes on this. Okay, I just went. The truck suddenly wanted to shift to the right lane and I had to engage about 70-80% of the brakes, and the bike's like it stops with so much power. I mean, its brakes are definitely an overkill. When I was riding a Ducati 797, I said the brakes were an overkill on that motorcycle. I revised my judgment. The brakes are an overkill on this motorcycle. But obviously, you land up in one of those situations where you need the power and you're not going to regret it. Just be a little bit careful not to slam into the tank. That's happening. Man, my head is being blown off by the wind blast. Oh, we definitely need a taller windscreen. We need a taller windscreen. Luckily, my AGV fits on very perfect. Well, I think I'd take a U-turn because the other side of the highway is much more enjoyable. So we'll just do that. Pretty tall, this bike. For a naked bike, this is pretty tall, taller than the usual motorcycles that I've ridden, especially for a naked bike. So I didn't look at the specs, but off bat what I remember is around 123 PS of power. The power delivery is, right now we are in the full power mode. I know that it feels very powerful. Obviously wind blast because you're sitting quite higher up. Seat height, I would say about 820 mm, but I'll correct it if I'm wrong on screen. So ergonomics wise, very comfortable bike to ride. The seat is also pretty comfortable, pretty darn good, but it also gives you that sporty feel. They've managed this pretty well. On the other hand, when you're looking at the elbows, they're slightly folded, so that gives you the easy accessibility and the flickability that this bike offers. On the same side, you've got the rear set foot brakes, which is like if you're going for the aggressive riding, that's gonna be there. But it's not overly aggressive so that your wrists start aching after a couple of 100 kilometers, which is not exactly 100% tour worthy, but you know, it does everything quite well. Some sort of like reminds me a little bit about the Ducati Super Sport. That is a motorcycle I'd like to compare it against, because even that motorcycle has got a lot of electronics. But that sound, it has a quick shifter, so next time when we open up the throttle, that's what we're gonna be using. Oh yeah, the quick shifter is buttery smooth. Bike corners like no naked motorcycle I've cornered before. The amount of confidence that I'm getting on this bike right off the block. I mean, I'm just on this motorcycle for the last 5 minutes or so, and the confidence that I'm getting is absolutely phenomenal. Whoa. One of the best sounding naked bikes, along with the best handling. This review is gonna sound so biased because, you know, I only have like 40-50 kilometers with this bike right now, max to max, and that's not gonna be enough to come up with a verdict for a motorcycle like this. Oh my god, that guy was walking onto the highway and I used the brakes. It's got some very special braking. The Brembos, not only does it have immense stopping power, it has the great feel and progressive feeling to the motorcycle, and we're kind of doing sixth gear, and the torque is sufficient for it to do sixth gear cruising and still have enough pull. Triumph has hit the nail on the head with this motorcycle. I've ridden the normal street triple, and that was, you know, a city ride, so obviously I couldn't feel much into the motorcycle. Oh, when that quick shifter hits, you know, this is more like an inline 4 sound. I wouldn't say the inline 3, because that whistle that Triumph used to have, that's kind of subdued on this bike, and it's got that more like a Z1000. When I remember riding the 2015 Z1000, had a very similar sound, especially that intake howl, that sort of intake howl that's there on this bike. By the way, bar and mirrors, you probably want to know how good they work. I think they're completely wrongly adjusted. Like, I can't see a thing out of these. Okay, so some people just tried to cross the road and I was trying to adjust the mirrors. Okay, probably not the best mirrors to have, but they are adjustable, so I guess they're adjusted wrong. Now they're working fine, so yeah, pretty useful. And they don't really have that much elbow viewing, since they're so far out. I think they also add weight to the handlebar, but some people don't like them because of obvious reasons. The aerodynamics, some people say that it weighs it down, and there's like an aerodynamic drag because of the mirrors. But these are kind of small, so I guess not too much wind drag will be there. Pretty inclined seat, so, you know, easy to go on the tuck when you want it. What I really like is the power distribution through the rev range, and even the engine braking is spot on. I mean, it's a strong engine braking, more so than other bikes. Sometimes leads to emergency brake tests, but I don't want to be caught up with a speed where I cannot slow it down sufficiently. I just don't want to return it. I feel like riding this bike back home. That would be pretty bizarre, because I'm supposed to give this motorcycle back to him. Let's test the agility. Oh wow, with the amount of confidence that bike switched that lane, I mean, it feels like a much smaller bike when you're doing the twists and turns, and yet it has enough like confidence. Obviously we're running on Pirelli Diablo Super Corsas, or if you've ridden anything which has Super Corsas, you already know about their quality. I don't have to talk about it, but when you're adding that to this bike's frame, I think a new level of confidence is being achieved. And the last bike that I rode for the review was a Ducati 959 Panigale. That motorcycle, I would say, is tougher to control than this, and not just because of the power, but because of the power delivery. How this bike delivers the power is, even though it is a lesser powered motorcycle, so you might right off the bat assume that it's easier to control, but when you're thinking about it, it is still quite a powerful bike, and it is a naked bike, so there is more amount of wind blast, but the power delivery is more smoothed out, so you don't really feel that much challenged. Which is a more fun bike to ride? Hard to say. I'd still say the Panigale, but I've ridden that motorcycle over much more struggling situations, and I enjoyed that struggle. Here I'm just having a joyride on a beautiful highway, and I wish we had corners. The suspension, we were going over some bad roads, and surprisingly soft. I mean, I was expecting hard suspension on this motorcycle. Even Ashwin was telling me, he's the owner of this bike, and he was telling me that the suspension is pretty soft and he can harden it up, and I think that will be even better for the handling, because right now I am feeling that the rear suspension is moving around a bit too much for my liking, but at least it's plush. I mean, if you guys like the plush sort of feel, the front end is pretty hard, so at least in the corners I will have the feedback and feel which I'm craving about. But if you guys are more into the plush thing, don't want to feel too many bumps, and don't mind losing a bit of the rear end, then I think that's effortless speeds on this motorcycle. You guys are gonna love the suspension setting, especially on the bad roads. Not so much on the front, but the rear, obviously. This bike's done 800 kilometers. It's already beyond its first service, so I'm not really worried about opening up the throttle. The owner said that on the way to the ride, he made around 200 kilometers plus. I don't wish to break that record, because, you know, obviously in the morning we had less traffic, and now we have more traffic, and it's not about the top speed. I just want to let you guys know how this bike feels. Now, when we are doing a 90 or an 80 kilometers per hour cruising sort of speed, surprisingly it is a great motorcycle to ride in that kind of speed as well. And the engine has slight vibrations, which I've never felt on a Triumph bike, probably because it's a new one. So, but when you're doing 80 to 100, then the motorcycle feels so quiet, and the engine kind of shuts down its sound. It feels like you're not moving at all. It's that stable. I kind of like this manic side of it. So I think we've done a lot of kilometers right now on the motorcycle. We did 20, more than 20, because we're already back at the toll plaza, and now it's time for the U-turn. At about 30 kilometers on this bike, and I say that there is not an ounce of getting tired. And I mean, I've already ridden 170 kilometers today, so it's not that I'm a damn fresh, but you know, when you're this excited, it's hard to feel even if the motorcycle is taxing you out. But my verdict would be that this motorcycle doesn't tax you out. because if you really want, you can sit much more upright when you're cruising, like right now we are. I guess it's time for the city ride review, because this is mostly city ride conditions. Does it heat up? Oh, it hasn't heated up anything so far, but we're still in February. It's not that we're having too much high of a temperature, and it's around 9 a.m. in the morning. The sun's not out yet in full glory. And gorgeous motorcycle to look at. I mean, if you're a fan of naked bikes, I guess this is pretty good. And the front, well, obviously Triumph still sticks with its trademark street triple headlights. Some people like it, some people don't. I'm kind of stuck in the middle. I'm not sure whether I like it or whether I hate it. I'm willing to live with it, even if it's not the most attractive looking front, because the rest of the motorcycle is great. I mean, even to look at, and the amount of technology that they've put into this motorcycle. I mean, the full ABS, traction control, power mode, the entire electronics package is in there. And it's got 5 driving modes, and the console feels amazing. I mean, take a look at that console. It's like, just like I said, it's like a tablet. Somebody's put an iPad, a mini iPad, onto your console. The last time I had a console like this was the KTM Duke 390, and this one's a lot better actually. Obviously it's a very premium bike. This console's though embedded into the screen. I mean, KTM's more like a standing out, jutting out tablet. It's just a design choice, nothing more. But even this one is clearly visible in bright sunlight, so that's a good thing. The headlights, well, I would have wanted full, white sort of LED lights. Still don't have that. And since it's the RS, maybe the stock version should have come with a little bit of advanced screens, especially since this motorcycle is so manic. I mean, on a track maybe you won't realize it that much, but on the highway where the wind blast is a lot more, you definitely do. Especially with this motorcycle's speeds. I mean, the speeds this bike is capable of. And the Monster achieves a speed of around 240 kilometers per hour top speed, but you have to ring the motorcycle really hard to get there. This one is actually so much powerful, because that's just 75 bhp as far as I remember, and this one's 123. So this motorcycle goes up to 180 before you realize it, and you get an open stretch, it'll do above 200 kilometers per hour speeds. So that windscreen is an absolute necessity. And I think I was having a word with Ashwin, and he's already agreed to getting one, and he's also thinking of changing the exhaust sound. He's trying for an SC project. I after listening to this motorcycle, I'm not sure whether I want to change it actually, because it's plenty loud, it's sweet, it's got a very nice character to it. I'm not sure I want to change it. This feels so amazing. I personally have never felt that good a sound coming out from a stock exhaust. I mean, it was there in the Daytona, it was there in the Z1000. This one, I think it takes the cake. I think it takes the cake for me. What this is capable of doing. Bus. Brilliant. Okay, what is he doing? Quick shifter. Even in the third gear, the front wheel has a tendency to rise. I don't know whether to feel happy or scared about it. এটা ওই 20 মতো দেয়। Let's go. It's just 6 kilometers from here. People always want to know the mileage, but they should talk about the power. Woo-hoo. Man, every time that bike takes in, I'm like, the intake is so damn amazing, man. The intake is so damn amazing. That intake, I'm falling in love with this. It's a lot like going back to the Z1000. But better in every way. Man, I wish Ashwin a lot of happy miles on this motorcycle because he's gonna enjoy it. He's already enjoying it. Review's over, guys. If you guys didn't realize that so far, the review is over. Even the key is a piece of art. Everything about this bike is a piece of art. Look how crafted it looks. It's plastic with a little bit of metal accents on it, but done so tastefully. Love this bike. Probably the best naked bike.